Alrighty. So, I want to go ahead and address the error that I have been getting whenever a second player connects when the first player was disconnected. Right? So all this stuff is working. Mr. Raisin, how's it going? Your username does not sound familiar. Are you one of the subscribers, or are you, do you happen to drop by the stream as soon as I started it? Oh man, this is awesome. Okay. So, something that I'm kind of debating on is whether or not I should actually have the player physics simulations take place on the client side, just to deal with the smoothness of the, well, you know, the smoothness of the player. Let's see. So I'll start the server there. Server. And I'll start the client here. Connect. Ready. So there's, yeah, so it's kind of choppy. I like your work. Thank you very much. I appreciate the kind words. So, oh my god, why are the shadows not being shown here? This one's working. Why is that one not working? All of a sudden. Let's see, so let me see. Grav equals 0 on the server. Oh, I think I know why it's not working. So check this out. Server. On the server, I'm moving my mouse and it's detecting. Ah man, okay. I know what's up. I know what the problem is. So it's in the lighting object shadows, and it's this thing. Right, it says temp player, which we define here. So if the server is looking at something, then the client sees it. Sounds like a fun mechanic, but not in this case. So LBJ player. Let's see, what are all the places where we use this? By the looks of it, this here is just about it. So for some reason, the player, this thing, the difference, angle difference. So when the player is looking at the shadow, that's the only time when the shadow is actually being shown, which is correct. But it's only doing so for the first player, the server player, which is not correct. Let's see. And no, there's XX++ right there. So maybe this is what I should be doing. I am thinking the position of where we increment the XX value. So Mr. Sin, Mr. Azen, how's it going? How'd you find the How did you find the channel, the stream? There we go. See, now the shadows are working, and they're working properly. So if I'll take the server ship and fly up as well. Okay, and I'll fly over here. As you can see, the shadows. Okay, I need to set gravity to 0. Okay, here we go. And there you go. Anyways, that's not the important thing that I was gonna do here. And there's the second shadow. This is awesome. Hey, Mr. Azen, would you like to try this out with me? Do you wanna fly around here for a little bit? Oof. Okay, yeah, so the shadows. We're gonna need to do some sort of a smooth fading thing for this, if anything. All right, here we go. Okay, so here I'll post the link. This is my Discord. This is where I post the builds for the game. So whenever, and it's a server client thing, so I have to be running the server in order for you to try it out. You could run your own server, but it is what it is. Whew. Okay. No, I can't shoot because I'm the client. That's right. I'm still not sure why we can't have float values. Unless it has to be a 32-bit float point. Let's see. So here's the deal that I'm thinking. With all these amazing, beautiful effects, it's actually kind of feeling like the project is not moving anywhere. So even though there's stuff being done, the whole project is in of itself isn't really getting a lot of progress. So let's concentrate on the core of the game, which is, you know, the experience, and then we'll add all the pretty things. Okay, what am I doing? Master, object master. So yes, the float values. So let me take a look at these variables. Float value. Same range as 16-bit signed integer, which is minus 32,000 to 32,000. Huh. 16-bit float. I thought they work. What do you mean? What, the shadows? They do work. It's just that the rotation of the flashlight right now is being sent as an integer, so it's very janky. Right here, so I'm sending it as an unsigned 16-bit integer. If I want it to be smoother, I need to be sending a 16-bit float, and I should be receiving a 16-bit float as well. The problem with that, here we go. Right, so the problem with that is, for some reason, it doesn't want to work. It gives me an error whenever I send the flashlight position. Like it's trying to access God knows what. Here we go. Yes to all. Might as well post this to the general chat. Here we go. And so let's start the server. Oh, don't tell me, is the thing doing that thing again? It is. For crying out loud. The chat is making chatty things again. I might have to write... Okay, I might have to write a custom CSS for it if things are kind of getting the way they are. So start server. I'll go ahead and connect. And we'll do connect, ready, ready. Okay. Flashlight. Okay, so now it's... Well, it's not crashing yet. If that's something worth looking at. Huh. Okay. Float 16-bit. And float 16-bit. So what if we do this as a 32-bit float? Just out of curiosity. I also think it didn't work because I have to export export the project. But now that I've changed this, I need to do this again. So here we go. Export. Yes to all. And I see Game Maker Studios creating its own hard drives again. Okay, here we go. F. Oh, light grid. Not said before reading it. DS grid, destroy light grid, cleanup object player. Why the cleanup? What? Not said before reading it. of unknown. This is some weird thing. It was giving me a different error before. It was giving me, see, I'll connect, drop in. Right, here we go. So if I'll do this, it turns the flashlight on, but if I, this is so weird. Okay, how about this? Let's draw some... Let's draw some debug variables. I'll shift U. So debug var1 will be when we receive this guy, FL angle, that will be debug var1, and we'll say angle plus string, and then we'll do this. And I gotta make sure that I create an executable. Connect, ready, and of course, wait a minute. Why are we... What? Wait a minute. Okay, first of all, ×2. So we'll make... This is a client. Okay, 1 second. That is so weird. Okay, 1 second. So, if global client is connected, here we have message 107. Right, and it says yeah, so this would only be sent if it's a client. This is so weird. So we'll do 6 light flight start server ready. Okay, and we'll do this guy here. Connect ready. What in God's name is it counting to? And that's why it's spilling over. It's not receiving the right data. But first of all, this is the client. This guy's not supposed to be receiving any data. So weird. FL flashlight, yes. It's reading something else. Oh yeah, that's because it's reading the X position because we are saving that information on the client side over here. Because we are the client, so that's why that's the information we're seeing. But the server side, that should be the information that we receive from the client. Connect, ready. But we're not receiving that information. So that tells me we're not even sending anything. This is the server. If we receive a message 107, FL angle. Wait a minute, do we not read buffer string before then? Before this? No, I don't think we do. So we read message type. .107. Buffer 32, buffer string 107. Wait a minute. That's not the right... Wait. No, that's not the right thing. Unsigned 16-bit supposed to be the message ID. And then this guy, the float 16... Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, float 16. I was changing the data type of the wrong data segment. I was changing the data type of the message ID. Oh, excuse me. Jesus. Okay. I'll go ahead and do this. Extract, yes to all. The server. So now we should either have it working or it should give us the old error. F, and there's the old error. Okay. So, that's so weird, but that's okay. We've got this. So now, the flashlight angle I'll change to a 32-bit float. And we'll see what it does then. Mm-hmm. Start server, ready up. Now I wonder if it's going to work if I don't do this as a drop-in player. Okay, so 32-bit float. Holy cow, it's working as a 32-bit float. Oh my goodness, it's working. All right. Hey Jenko, you still there? Or did you just drop blah? Did you just drop in to mock the lighting engine? Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay, so we can actually test something out right now. We are a client. We can go here and see if anything is not colliding with us. I will need to define the shadow points for a lot of these things. Ooh, the shadows on that one. Nice. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I'm not accounting for the scaling of the objects for casting shadows, which means that I won't be able to use that. Whatchamacallit? I won't be able to scale around these world building tools, because that means then I also will have to scale around. I will also have to scale around the other things. I'll have to scale. Yeah, see, there you go. You see, that's the problem area. It means I will also have to scale this shape that defines the shadow. So this means I will either have to make... Hey, I thought it deleted you. Come on. This means I will either have to make a variety of objects that would cast shadows, or sorry, I would have to make a whole variety of objects to make the levels with. Like all of these objects, I'll have to make, you know, maybe 4 iterations of different lengths, and then define the points with each one. Or I'm gonna have to make one single shadow object whose sole purpose is to cast shadows, and then I distribute that object among the various places. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do physics simulations for the player controls on the client side. This is really choppy. It works fine as a server, not so much as a client. Of course it works fine as a server, because you're the server. Everything's taking place on your machine. But this is the sort of smoothness that I want to have on at least the client's machine, the client's player. It's kind of important. Man, to be honest, I think it would just be easier to make to make various terrain objects and just not use scaling. I can use rotation, so that could be a part of the solution, just not scaling. Right. Oh man, I need artwork. I need a lot of artwork for this. I need assets. I need things that I can build the atmosphere in this level with. Ah. Welcome back. But on the phone. I see. I see. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and, just for the sake of getting this batch of level stuff done, let's go through these assets and let's define our points for all of these pieces. Right? But in order for me to do this, I'm gonna need to do the following. Create target. In the target, I'm gonna have to say instance nearest xy obj terrain master, and since that's the master object, it should pick up all the child objects as well. There you go. See, so that's working. Okay. So here's what I'll have to do. Let's go ahead and drop in our first object. Press this. I'll try to keep this to as few points as I can. Not said before reading it. Ooh. Oh, create event. That's because I have this thing in the create event. Let's get rid of that. One more time. Okay. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right click. Oh, whoops. Damn it. Come on. That's not what I wanted to do. Wait, how am I saving? Am I saving this? Am I saving this by? Yeah, clipboard set to, okay. Yeah, beautiful. One more time. So every time I click, it will save it to the clipboard. That's right. I made this as streamlined as possible. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So then I close this, and then I can go to this guy, create event, sh define. Right, so I'll create my own create event and say sh define equals, and that's the DS list. Okay, that should be it. So now all these long pieces, the long grass pieces, should cast shadows. If, you know, I am going to place the main menu on the first level to be loaded first. Create server, ready. Not set before reading it. Prep shadows. Oh man, that's right. So if I'm going to be creating a custom event, I need to do event inherited. Start event, ready. Okay. So now the long grass should be casting shadows. And of course, as soon as I need to test it, there's not a single piece of long grass inside. Okay. Come on, give me something. Okay, there's a piece of long grass that should be casting a shadow, I think. Is that a piece of long grass? Yeah, object B, grass forest, grass 001. Yeah, that should be casting a shadow. Well, there's an easy way to test. Drop this guy in and get this code running. And nada. Now why is it nada? I do event inherited, and then I add the DS grid with the points. What am I doing with the other one? With this one? Which one is this? H fade. So H fade, yeah, event inherited, and then SH defined. This one has a create event as well. Oh yeah, because I said dev, not def. That's why it's not working. Alright. And there it is. Beautiful. So now that shadow should appear as well. Unless that's not... No, I think that's a fade effect. Okay. Alright. No, that's fine. So we'll get rid of this. Get rid of that as well. Alright, let's keep going. Let's define them first. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Close. This is the half piece. Edit object. Create event. Event inherited. SH define that. Okay. Next up. One, 2, 3, 4. Edit object. Create event. Event inherited. SH define. Just like that. Okay, we're making good progress here. This is the faded grass. One, 2, 3, 4. Event inherited. One, 2, 3, 4. Hey, this one already has a shadow define. Beautiful, that's the one that I was using then. Edit variables, okay. One, two, three, four. Create event. Okay, now these guys. Four. SH define. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay, almost there. One, two, three, four. Okay. I'm debating on whether or not to add RPG elements into this game. And I mean, by that I mean mostly just stats, like upgradable stats and NPCs. Because right now it's pretty lonely. Here we go. Right. Alright, slowly getting there. Okay. Whoops. You know, I'm sure that for this object I can use the same shadow defines. Although it could very well be displaced, so not quite positioned in the same sprite coordinates. Pixels not in the same place. Let's just be safe. Alright, last two pieces. But these ones have been scaled heavily throughout the game, so I have a feeling that these might not work as well. One, two, three, four. Depth equals meh. And here we go. Alright. Well, I've defined the shapes for all the objects. You see what's going on? Different objects casting different shadows. Because they're all blended together. That is not good. That is not what I need. I need all the shadows to be together. And in order to get all the shadows together, I need to go to Object Shadows, and I need to use all of the, let's see, all of this, and no flickering either, as far as I know, at least. In this case, all the shadows will blend together because they're all will be fully black. Like that. Right, as you can see, everything's, well, okay, almost. Almost everything. You see, there's still some indiscrepancies with the shadow itself, right by the edges. Right by the edges of where the flashlight is. Right, you see it? Right around the edges. You can still see it in the background. All these objects casting shadows. Yeah. Oof. Tough, man. Tough. So what if we go down here and go into our draw polygon and we draw them at full alpha. Start server. Right. It's still fading in, but let's be honest. If the shadows are at full darkness, then the light around it should also match that same level of darkness. Here we go. I should also put a small light around the player object, just so that players could see their orientation better. But hey, okay, so you're seeing this? That is the shadow properly, working properly. Well, more or less properly. There's still some stacking going on, but and you see there's scaling going on there, so the shadows are being kind of augmented. Oh, come on. Crazy vortex. How's it going? I mean, I can technically live with the multiple shadows, I think. Because it only shows up at the far end of the flashlight. But that's the lighting. I need the shadows. Now let's take a look at that. So I'm thinking that when we draw this guy, to draw a rectangle, we might be able to, let's say 0.5, and let's match the lighting system to also be 0.5. Start server. There we go. Yeah, man. Yeah, that's not really working now, is it? Huh. I feel like it'll only work if it's a part of the it'll only work if it's a part of the lighting system as a part of that surface. So what if I go half transparency here? Just out of curiosity. Oh yeah, that's not really helping anyone. We actually re-enabled the blendables here. GPU set, alpha set. So when we draw the polygon, interesting. Oh man. So the only thing that I can do is indeed adjust the brightness of this mask and call it a feature. Start server. Alright, so it's still kind of working. But it's just a little meh. If I could adjust the brightness. See, it's the fact that the shadows are accumulating on top of one another, which is why I can't have it be running that way. So we're back to square one with that. So if we take our shadows, the only other thing that I can think of is see if we can subtract the sprite from the shadow. Alright, so right now, see all the shadows are on top of the sprites. And if I place that inside of the lighting draw to the surface, then that would work. Right? The only problem being that I need the sprite. I need the sprite to subtract the brightness. I feel like we should be able to do it. I actually feel like we should be able to do it from within. Let's see. So I will copy this. I will comment that out. I'll go back to the lighting system. And here's the dealio. So first we subtract all the lights. Then we add all the shadows. Excuse me. There we go. We add all the shadows. We add all the shadows at full transparency or full brightness. What do you mean? Line 66. What are you talking about? Oh, this is shadows. Well, actually, because we're in with the shadows, we don't need to do any of this masking stuff. Don't need this. So we just need to draw the shadows for every single player. Yeah. None of this stuff. No disabling and enabling of blending modes. Yeah, simple as that. Okay. Alright, so the last thing, of course, is because I'm doing this, I need to do VX, not VX, it's surf equals, and this would be argument 6. And this will be effectively so we'll say true in here, and this will effectively say whether or not we need to subtract this from the surface. Why are we subtracting it from here? Why were we subtracting it in the first place? And why was it working? Yeah, that's kind of weird. Oh, because there you go. Okay, don't need this. Don't need this. I already had it in place. I already thought of it. So Vx, Vy. Now view width, view heights, I'm pretty sure I'm not using anywhere. Nope. So it's just that. Start server. There's our shadows. So see, this technically works. And it works well. It's just that, and if the total darkness of this entire thing, lighting, so if the total darkness goes to 0.9, then the shadow darkness also goes to 0.9. See? And it blends all nice and neat with all the other elements. The only problem being this shadow thing. The shadow being on top. Alright, so what I'm thinking is whether or not we can add the shadows. What if we draw the lighting the whole point is to draw these shadows before drawing the player, the terrain objects. But the problem with that is that the terrain objects should be revealed. The surface that's on top, that's only the darkness. That's all it is. So I need to get the shadows. I need to get the shapes of the object, that the terrain objects too, and I need their shapes to be cut out from the shadows. But only the shadows, not the darkness itself. Right now we're dealing with transparency and blackness. So the part of the shadow that is overlapping with the object should be transparent. Only the shadow. Let's see, so what happens when we say GPU set blend mode, BM subtract draw self, and then we'll say BM normal. I don't think this will work. This was around the point where I had to use two surfaces. Yeah, so I'm going to have to switch tactics here, and I'm going to have to say, I'm gonna actually go ahead and save this as a new project. Engine. Seven. So instead of doing blackness and transparency, I'm gonna actually switch to using whites and darks. So we draw clear with a black sprite. So all the light sources should be white. So not subtract. This should be BM add. And then we have BM normal. And then we have this guy, which just adds the blackness back. But technically this should now show a black and white surface. Fun times. Not really. Okay, start server. Okay, so this is black and white. Beautiful. So now what I have to do white shows light, black shows that. Okay, see, we're still dealing with man. Yeah, so it doesn't matter if I change that. We're still dealing with this entire thing. I need to add the shadows, but I need to add the shadows without this, without the shapes. I think I have to go with the second surface. Oh man. light surface, shadow surface. So I draw the shadows to that surface, and we'll start with that one. We'll have to add the full screen transition here, but we'll basically say global this surface exists, then we'll proceed. Otherwise, okay, I need to shrink this thing down so I can fit it in one single window. Otherwise, we'll need to create our surface again. Okay, so here's what we have to do. We will surface set target. Surface set target. To this surface, we will go ahead and go over here with the shadows. Now we clear this as a black surface. So, but we shouldn't be clearing it as a black, we should be clearing it as a transparent surface. We will then add the shadows, just like that, and we will draw a surface reset by the end, but we also have to do GPU set blend mode, BM subtract we'll do stuff, and then we'll say BM normal. So inside here, also with object terrain master, we need to do just draw self. Okay. Subtract, normal, and then reset. Beautiful. So that's our shadow surface. I'm not too fond of doing this, and chances are I'm gonna have to find a better way to do this. But what happens now is that inside of the light surface, we need to draw our shadow surface like that. Not create, no. I need to draw. All right. So add shadows. That's what this thing is supposed to be doing. Okay. All right, now this has to stay at 0 and 0. Okay. Almost. It's just that I need to switch this to be this guy, so to be black, and this to be BM subtract. Okay. Okay, there's this stuff. Alright, so the shadows are being drawn. I think they're being drawn in the right place. The only thing is that there's this flickering thing, and the flickering thing is probably because C black. Okay, so I know that this is working. What is not working is the BM subtract. And that's not working because I need to draw sprite. Draw sprite. Sprite index 0, x minus view x, y minus view y. This is where the various shenanigans happen. Okay. Start server. Hey! Look at this. It's technically working. It's very finicky. So I think I need to do draw sprite extended, view x, view y, scale, image x scale, image y scale, rotation image angle, C white alpha of 1. And there we go. Shadows are working for the most part. But I had to resort to using 2 surfaces. And even these shadows aren't exactly perfect. Right, for example, the shadow is obscuring this light here, or this plant over there. I'm also getting this weird tuggling thing going on with some of these things. Also, I might actually have to set this surface to be C white, and instead of, let's see, when I'm drawing this, I might have to set it to BM add, or BM multiply or something along that line. Okay, so the flickering is gone by the looks of it. All right. See, there's like layering issues here happening. But unfortunately, this is kind of out of my hands. Making lighting systems is a whole career of itself. You can spend just hours doing this stuff. I mean, this is working, more or less. Yeah, scaling issue. Let's go take a hike. In this area. Now, to be honest, I feel like this thing should be solved if I just make one single object whose sole purpose is to cast shadows. And position this object all over the various areas. It's a lot of manual work to get the desired effect. Whereas right here, you define it once, and whenever you place your terrain items... Ooh, what was that? I see, it's the view angle. It's way too thin. It looks pretty cool, and I think we can say that it's more or less passable. I just need to replace all these scaled objects that I've used here. I'll just need to replace them with something else. Okay. Alright, well, this will be passable for the time being. So I will need to move on to something else, okay? But for the time being, take a break. I think it's a deserved one, and I'll come back.